Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, the 1M program is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in and beyond, build a global GDP and 10 million jobs. And we are essentially running the only global virtual incubator in the world today. You can use the 1M program from anywhere in the world, and we have deep expertise in the area of entrepreneurship incubation. 99th Roundtable, and this is going to be the last for this year, after which we're going to take a bit of a break. When we come back, we're going to open the year 2014 with our 200th Roundtable. So by all means, register for that one, and we hope to see you there. This one is like all our roundtables. This event is being recorded, and the recording will be available in our YouTube channel as well as on our blog. If you're reading the show, please hashtag 1M1M, and our accounts are at 1M by 1M and at Sramana. You're welcome to follow those. They are full of content and really solid, great content. So we put effort into running all our social media activities and really focus on excellent content through channels. This YouTube you will find again great content there as well. We have two presentations using slides and full-fledged formal presentations, and we're going to open up the line for calling in. So you will be able to call in and talk about whatever it is that you are wrestling now, and we'll put up these instructions again later in the. Let me see. Is not with Rekha, according to Maureen. Unmute the line and presentation. Oof, this is a huge slide deck.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Rekha Angler. I'm the founder and Chief Technology Officer of Thermo. I'm here to talk about our technology and our team. It's a startup company, and we started this company in 2010. We'll go through a review of our progress and where we are with the technology. Next. So here we are Austin-based, and our technology is actually focused on electronic cooling. As semiconductor geometry becomes smaller and smaller, and the heat dissipation increases. So the result, as it increases, the efficiency of the semiconductors goes, and this impacts not only the ability but actually the performance. The application will be based on the light emitting diodes, and to be more specific, it's in the high brightness LED. Of the deployment of LEDs in a few years, because incandescent and CFL lamps are going to be replaced by LEDs. There are technological challenges, and that brought us into this technology. We have quite a good team, and at least the way we see it. Our CEO is Greg Berry. He's been in the lighting industry for 30 years, got a lot of experience, and has had one turnaround. Myself, I've been in semiconductor industries for several years, and my passion is always looking at unknown problems and trying to make it into product. I must confess that I'm still a very young and learning entrepreneur. My mother is a founder and advisor in health innovations, and Dr. Rao is our technology advisor. The technology is actually a collaboration between Manutacturing and the university, so we are working very closely with him. And we have some students also who are working on marketing and technology validation. Next, please. You mentioned about this device smaller and heat being wasted. Heat not only impacts efficiency, but there are some energy harvesting methodologies which are also coming. So we will get into that. One we are trying to solve management problems for electronic designs and the first technologies for LEDs. Next, please. So market opportunity looks wonderful here. If we really tie in just to the global LED market itself, it's going to go up 100 billion, and LED adoption hopefully is one of the limiting factors right now for technology to get forward. And we hope LED adoption goes to 67%, we would have good technology in place. And LED, and the second one is electronics. Next slide, please. Our market strategy has been very, very hands-on and more of a bottom-up approach. Basically, because since we are a startup, we started with our customer base, talking to the case is light fixture manufacturer, because putting together the LEDs and then the materials and the thermal management. And we also had, from sales perspective, we're trying to look at companies which are already into the market. The online distribution is a huge force, especially for the lighting division, and also there are direct manufacturers and distributors like DigiKey, and there are also other LED key distributors who are looking at our technology. And chip manufacturers are like Cree has been one of our early collaborators who looked at our thermal interface material, and also working with the Department of Energy because they actually put forward the standards for deployment. Next, please.
Before you go on, you said first market is the LED market. So why are you working with chip manufacturers and electronics distributors right now?
Two things. First thing is chip manufacturers, because the LED is coming from them, because we make the LED, we just make the thermal material. And these right now are actually done by, Cree, and they have got the Philips, and they actually provide the thermal characteristics. So if we make our material, we need to make sure that we test it along with their performance specs. That's why we're working with them.
Okay, got it.
In terms of competitive advantage, what exists right now, I must also be very honest here, saying that there are some very heavy hitters all in thermal interface materials, and just an entry into this field with a new kind of technology twist to what we're trying to do. Thermal interface materials it can be the grease, the pads, the gels, and of course the existing soldering materials. The limitations of the existing material are, it takes about 200 hours for the material to actually bind with LEDs and the heat sinks. And for extended periods of operation, because some of these materials are based on oil, they start to kind of start cracking, and it will make the heat sinks non-reusable. And we see some oils on the surface. And long stability is impacted with the heat, and as the material has to disintegrate, the absorption rate of the heat goes down. So that's why it affects reliability. From our team, when we look at these devices, they are not for just bonding the LEDs to the heat sink, and they're not exactly designed for reducing the LED junction temperature. And that is one of the differentiators we like to bring to the table. The last is it's weight, it's based on carbon tubes, scale of different kinds of LED boards, and it's highly conductive. So because it's conductive, the the energy consumption for the devices also go down. So overall, over a period of time, consume less current and less power dissipation compared to other markets. Next slide. Next slide. This is how we see the small product roadmap in our vision. The very product as we see is this nanopad. This is the thermal interface material. It's strictly high brightness LEDs, and right now we can sell it as 1 square inch, or these sold as 5 inch by 3 inch of boards for applications and even small for residential applications. Next one, we really after being in this business for 2 years, we realized that just the interface materials is not very attractive to our end consumer. We look into the Nano Thermo Plus, where we offer not only the material, but we make the LED module, the pack, and the heat sink. So it's almost like a one-stop solution. So if they are light fixture manufacturer, they're able to take this assembly, they're able to add the optic part and the electronics part, and quickly turn around and make a fixture product. So that's and the third one is because 80% of the heat is actually wasted. The third phase, we are actually doing with the thermal electric module where the heat can actually be converted into electricity, DC, and that can recharge the device at the end. And last but not least is actually the CPU. My passion really was to get into the CPU business, because that the business maximum heat is there, and that's my field. But unfortunately, because the field application of use and software is such an important part, we hesitated a little bit to bring it up front because we're not quite. Next. So manufacturing and production is a low capital equipment. If we can make the material, and the emphasis more on, we like to make manufacturing in the United States because this is free, and from what we have seen before, it cannot be outsourced that easily. You can probably outsource is probably the testing part as well. And footprint manufacturing, and as we see, there's no whole lot of regulatory and environmental issues. But since tube itself is so new, we do expect that if our material goes to Energy Star, another Department of Energy, they're going to do a lot more stress testing, and a typical nanotechnology product takes 3 to 5 years to actually get qualified. So these are financial projections. We started a very ambitious goal of having about 200. First we said once we get there, but since we're bootstrapping, which will come to the next part. Here we see a gross margin of 3.3%. Each about 100,000 units of this product. And slow growth from year 2 to year 3. If the LED deployment really happens the way we project, and we're about 50% pessimistic, and it gets into the margin we see. I think from year 3 is probably can be profitable. Year 3 to be slight kind of balance, I suppose. Although this looks attractive in paper, I must say that cost per unit is much higher compared to the existing materials. This is one of our limiting factors. Because so new, not so much worried about the heat, and they try to part at much, for a 3 LED, they try to run at 1.5 amp. So the heat is low. So since the heat is low, they don't need this fan out. So that's where cost per unit comes out better than existing products. Typically, 9 cents to $1.12 or so. So fund the seed capital to 50K, which is up to hopefully the commercialization phase. So capital is 5 million, and use of capital like all startups. We need the technology is ready for real world, the market, and of course scale up manufacturing. So I think we'll be successful in 3 years after investment. So feedback we got was, this is where I think I'd like to really get some feedback from you, Mr. Sramana. Bootstrapping over 2 years, from that, although get a lot of traction, get involved in competitions, we won a few, and recently got interviewed also by Lux magazine. We are struggling to get funding, and definitely we like some feedback and what should change.
So I have a question for you before I give you feedback. You said you have a CEO who has done 3 startups.
Yes.
Is he not around?
Oh, he's very involved, taking all our technologies. And we also visited Austin Ventures also. What happens to it?
If you do, Austin will not do a 250K round, right? You need to angels to get a 250K round. So you need to, plus you need to work with angels who work in the clean/semiconductor field. And those deals right now are, active from an investment point of view. What you're facing is that most angel money is going into kind of stuff, internet, mobile kind of stuff. Large, the semiconductor industry or the, associated semiconductor associated ecosystem is really struggling for funding. What you're running into.
And also, I think Austin Ventures, you're absolutely right. They don't have an early stage, but there's further causes. We definitely like to go get more exposure. So that's pretty much where we are right now.
If I were you, I would kind of look. What company have you been working with before this? Where were you? Where did you do your semiconductor career?
Semiconductor.
Which one?
Freescale semiconductor.
Freescale, and where? What's your CEO's path? He's done 3 startups. Has he money for investors in his last 3 startups? Were they in the semiconductor field as well?
Not more in the semiconductor field, but more in lighting industry. With lectures and LED assemblies.
I see. Money for his investors? Investors and your network in Freescale and possibly in other system, and try to do kind of like a friend family / angel kind of round to do the 250K.
Okay.
Don't try to go to VCs. This is not a VC round. You won't anywhere with VCs.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We're on now.
Hello.
Yes. Is that? Go ahead.
Audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go on.
Okay. Perfect. So this is called Let's Intern. It's a platform which connects students and organizations. The idea of students to start and be more employable. Next slide. Yeah. In 2010, a brief about we bootstrapped ourselves for the first 1 year, working with our houses and put product through friends and families and trying to prove traction. Worked fairly well. We were able to prove revenues. We were able to prove traction both on student and organization side, and also managed to win a few awards and get our first round of angel funding by the end of the first year of work. So that's 2011. 2011 is when we started putting a team together, and one mistake we did in hindsight is that being from business background, we focused more on revenues and operations than on scaling up technology, which it was good and bad both. It made us has really jumped to the roof, and we did 2.5 times of our investor projections. At the same time, we became operationally profitable. So then, utilizing the seed fund that we got, we were able to generate enough cash to sustain ourselves for the next 1 year. But the 1 year, when we tried to grow again by the same ratio of about 10 or 11x, we realized that our technology would not back us up, and the cost would escalate high for us to be scaling up. Which brings us to 2012 and 13. Next slide, please.
So how much money did you raise from seed fund?
25 lakhs.
Okay.
2013, the focus completely was. So 2012, we took a backseat and said we're not going to look at clients or customers, but rather making sure that our technology is in place and our product team and technology team is in place. None of the founders were from a technology background, so that was a bit of a change. It took us about 3 to 4 months to really focus and get a good technology head in place, get a good team on, get it all rolling with. We had to move our headquarters to a location in India which was more conducive to setting up such a team.
Where are you located?
So we were earlier located in Delhi.
I see. Okay.
We basically maintained the revenues that we earned the previous year. What we did do was we really managed to build a platform which we were really confident that can help us scale. Also, we tried a bunch of different revenue models on the backbone of the new technology platform we were building, and trying and testing different revenue models to see what we would like to scale in 2013. So 2013, we realized that rather than charging corporates, what really in the future is if we can open the student wallet. And that sort of is our focus now, has become the focus for most of 2013. And the product in terms has over the last 1 year grown by about 600%. Any metric that we take, it's minimum 600%. And the revenue split that we did in terms of charging more to students than to corporate, and actually the corporate side completely free, would in a fair confident on what we were trying to do. So it worked really well. What that led to is now we're at the position where we're getting into 2014 with the imagination that we want to further lesson plan into a platform where a student comes in college and stays in till they last of college. Employability and career services that it needs to consume to be more employable happens on that intern platform. We want to sell our services, but we want a platform play where we allowed other players who are providing assessments or training or any other skill enhancement or assistance to be plugging into APIs. Recently, logged in 2 big players on this thing since those contracts yet getting signed could not be. 2014 and going forward, the play about how to build that engagement with the user from day one to day last and build that platform. Can we go to
about your business model? You say you're 8% paid users, but you have of the 11,000 organizations, 8% are paying. Is that what you're saying?
No. No. When we say 8% paid users, we're only counting the students. As I said, our primary revenue model is going to be charging the students. Yeah.
And the revenue that you've generated, who pays for that? The student or the organization?
For the first 3 years,
Sorry, I didn't get a single thing you said.
I said 3 years, it was corporate focused.
Okay. What prompted you to switch that?
The fact that when I started charging corporates just increase the cycle of servicing your corporates. Because you would need to generate an invoice by the time they pay up, and the whole thing would take time with big companies. And internship being something which they're not, it's not like a permanent recruiting solution where I'm planning a few months. It's normally more ad hoc. Second, that once companies were paying up, they were looking for some kind of a B2B service thing. The operational cost of servicing them was getting too high for an internship market where the ticket size was really small. C was the strongest reason was that we realized as a student has a much more stronger reason to get an internship. And therefore, while they're spending lakhs of money on their education, charging them a few thousand rupees to get them the right opportunities and the right kind of opportunities, scalable markets. It's easy to get a million students on your platform and get them to pay, then get a million organizations, and then set up a sales team and a sales team to service them.
And this percent pay users then is 8% of the student users are paying.
What we want in 2014. So that's last bit.
Hasn't happened yet.
Is what? Sorry?
That's what you're trying to get.
Hasn't happened yet. Yes.
Got it.
Right now, about 6 to 7% of our users are paying right now.
Mm-hmm. And they pay 1,000 rupees a year.
So there are different credit packages that they buy. So they pay anywhere between 500 to 1,500 rupees as of right now.
Okay. I guess you will come to that. Yeah? In a follow-on slide.
Sure. Yes. So as what we're trying to tap up is we want to be the learning network for students. So we want this to be the typical learning network for students. So if you look at this slide where we're just trying to understand what is the market size that we're talking about, what kind of a market we're tapping into, is 21 million students just in India. And 20% of them would be willing to pay for some kind of an industry interaction or a student to be is what is willing to pay, which we have seen our platform and what is understood by reach out to a fairly large number of audience is rupees. A stipend comes to about 3,800. 10% of that is what you can arbitrage through corporates, through services or through different services built on top of the domain. So 80 rupees per internship that happens or per student who wants to intern is what you can monetize. Then the fact, as we said, that a whole bunch of career services which a student can use, be training or assessment, etc., to be the platform play, and those things starting to be consumed on the platform. Typical student in his life cycle spends about 5,000 rupees on that. Out of not monetizing anything, since these are things that we're just building in right now. They will only go live in January. So 2013, we don't have any of that built up. Market size that we're catering to right now is about 5 billion rupees. 2017, which is 4 years from now. The math is at there will be about 35 million students, about which 30% of whom would pay for some kind of a internship or College Connect services. The competition and general escalation in the whole market of education, we're expecting that to be about 2,000 rupees per student. Students spending about 10,000 rupees to upskill themselves. And therefore, we have a market size of about 35 billion. So the business is that over the next decade is moving online. And one of the key components of education is the Career Connect or the connection to corporations. That should also move online. And since we're providing that connect, we're in a very important space in the whole education platform play. So this slide kind of enumerates our value proposition. We go through primarily 4 stages of in the college. The college, the doubts that he has, the first and second year of college, then third year of college, the doubts that he has, and the final when he's about to either take up a job or take up a master's degree, the kind of doubts he has. We just eliminate those, and the idea is to address all of these doubts either through products that we're building in-house, or partnering with players who already have built these products at a good scale, and letting them use our platform to scale further.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a pictorial depiction of what happens to a student platform, and it pictorial depicts 3 aspects of our platform. One is the supply demand. So customer supply demand are data tools that because from on our platform plus the data that we gather from all other professional networks, including LinkedIn, Glassdoor, etc., give students a sense of a certain career path, where are they most likely to land up, or able to in different career paths, job roles, industries, subcategories, etc. So these are semi-counseling tools available for them. The whole process of lesson interaction which they go through is through a very gamified process where they have a certain number of credits when they log in. Activity they do which is favorable to them getting more employable, they can earn certain credits. They in interacting with companies. So interacting with a PepsiCo which offers an internship of 10,000 rupees per month, even requiring more credits than interacting with a startup which is offering a very simple internship at 2,000 rupees maybe. Or it is offering a volunteer job. How they spend credit, they can also buy credits, and that's how we earn our money. The process is gamified through levels and badges and different things unlocking, and there are different levels of student-to-student action opportunities that get unlocked to them. Yeah. This is for drilling down onto the business metrics of our business, how we acquire our users, and what's the cost for that. So, as I earlier mentioned, for the first 2 years, we are very operationally heavy and we are fairly offline in our operations. We use a whole bunch of college ambassadors and college word of mouth to generate traffic and user acquisition. Very heavily SEO focused. So presently in all the internship websites across the world, we would be number 2 in terms of our traffic. By an American website called internships.com. Online, we have incentives for students to invite their students on the platform. They can see what their friends are doing. We allow for a Facebook login. They can see what their friends are doing on the platform in terms of what opportunities they're applying to, what skills they're getting, etc. We build a lot more on student-to-student interaction to increase virality. Depends on SEO. And then thirdly, on what we do in terms of marketing on campus or information seminars in colleges or word of mouth. For every registered user that we get on our platform, we are paying roughly about 18.8 rupees. For every user which pays up, we are spending roughly about 400 rupees, given the fact that since our product is new in terms of students paying up and one of a kind, we need to go out there and get a sense of reason why the students need to. This cost will be high for another 6 months to 9 months before coming down drastically to less than 200 rupees. Next, please. Engagement that we build over, with a student is throughout his life cycle. So this is just talking about different features that are there, what is going to be happening over the next few months. We can move slide. Registration, as we said, presently we have now, this number is a little updated. We have about 4,000 paying students in about 9 months. Revenue per registered user is about 40 rupees, and revenue per premium user is about 600 plus rupees. Third-party platform play. Sorry.
User 40 rupees. That's a 40 rupees annual membership, 40 rupees monthly.
No, what we're basically doing is we're taking our overall revenue and dividing it by total number of registered users in this period, and seeing the revenue that we earn per registered user.
This is not business model.
This is not the premium user revenue that I mentioned is our business model.
What premium user? What is the definition of the premium user?
For subscribing to a premium membership on our platform.
That is a student who pays 600 rupees.
That is a student who pays that. When we're talking about users here, we're only talking about students.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Value proposition primarily as a business can summarize on this slide, which says, I build valuable products by leveraging student organization connections. The intern hiring domain will be one such product. Another product will be integration of all career services that the student consumes over the 3 or 4 years as a platform play. Leveraging student-to-student interaction and gamification to reality. And student on the platform will be one massive scalable revenue stream as a user towards the student.
And corporates or companies, startups are playing in your community right now. Where have you gotten the engagement from?
Luckily, in the last we've been able to spread the entire gamut from companies like PepsiCo and KFC to marquee startups like Flipkart and Jabong, etc., to small startups, to mid-sized firms, to manufacturing, to IT. So the range is there. Obviously, the 70% of internships come from startups and smaller mid-sized firms, while 10% come from more large entities.
Are they looking for startup internships, or are they looking for large company internships?
Large company internships is something everybody obviously fancies, but with such a supply mismatch, students are more than happy to get an internship, irrespective of what they get. So large company internships helps us in kind of profiling job as a platform where good companies come and post as well, and the kind of internships are good. But the money comes from the smallest set of companies. Snapshot of what a typical month in on-less intern looks like. The number of visitors we get is a little over 100,000, with about 600 page views. On the slide, one thing to highlight is that in September we launched one of the first fully comprehensive internship on an Android platform, which is number one on all the keywords related to internships on the Play Store. And without any external promotion that we spend money on, we have about 5,000 plus users in 3 months using it right now. This is just the next slide is about giving us a sense of competition. I divided our competition matrix into 4 kinds of companies, because exploring technology, somewhere related to talent, and there are 4 kinds of companies. There's a tutor focus and to focus on the x-axis. Listing and search focus like Monster.com or Naukri.com in India. There's companies which are leveraging social and data to better reach out or better understand the candidates. Yeah. So we should take a chance.
What is LinkedIn vis-a-vis interns? They charge a lot for job posting. They can't expect the same pricing to work for internship postings. I imagine they're going to have a special offering for internships, no?
See, again, for LinkedIn, the approach to student market is not recruiter focused. It's very student focused. They're looking at lifetime value that a student would bring by being on their platform, looking at what they can get from the job market. So LinkedIn is launching a whole bunch of specifically focused towards students. In September, something called the university pages, which is just US focused. In October, something called LinkedIn.edu pages /edu pages, where a student can better understand careers, play the entire career, see which professionals there, where are they spread out, etc. So for them, it's acquiring customers for their lifetime value.
Okay.
They have been struggling.
You can do that.
Sorry?
The competition for you.
Yeah, and the good thing is if you have such a good competition, you really cannot. You always need to be at your A game, so it helps us. The competition looks like the major change for when we evaluate ourselves as a consumer internet company is we don't have a time user. Our user, once we acquire with a lot of threat, he leaves us in about 3 to 5 years. So one understanding is that the user is valuable within the first 6 months, 1 year of acquisition. So we try to monetize him as much as possible in the first 6 months. Our cohort analysis shows that most of our premium members tend to become premium members within the first 3 months of joining the platform. But still, that's just something that we need to look at as we go along the way. The previous slide, please. And as you saw on the previous slide, bigger players with deeper pockets, and there's always a threat of them entering the market in a big way. Slide. We were focusing on 3 revenue models. One is premium subscription. Students subscription for being on the platform and subscribing to our services. The integrated platform play, wherein there are a whole suite of services being sold on the platform, and students use these employability services to basically come up on top. And third revenue model is paying up for better in hiring. So for right now, for employees is absolutely free. And we plan to grow that way. We never plan to charge the employers to post. If they want to be more visible to companies, if they want to build an employer brand on our platform, if they want to use certain sophisticated tools for hiring, then they need to pay us. These are the three revenue models. The team, there are 5 core people. Mayank, who's the HR behind it. He has worked with Alcatel-Lucent and ISEC in India in HR capacities. There's Ankit, who's our technology head, who's worked with Wipro and has been involved in another education startup since his college days. There is Prabhu, who's the marketing and the tech of team. He has worked with NASCOM and ISEC in India with marketing roles. Soham comes from a very strong product background with a computer science and working with Connect as his previous job. I have background in media and economics and primarily lead the team across media functions. Just a quick snapshot of who's in us and people who advise us regularly. Slide. The vision for the future is that education is going to be disrupted. Reason certifications move on. What will happen to the final job of institutions to connect students to the job market, and that is where platforms like us will become highly valuable. Data analytics, leveraging data analytics across professional networks and just what data that we have will really help our individuals make better choices. And place for discovery and enhancing your career for students is what we bet on.
Okay, good, very good presentation. Looks like you're moving along nicely. What do you want to get input on?
One,
do you have or no?
Sorry?
Do you have some questions?
Sorry.
All right.
Can I enumerate them? I just have 2 doubts.
Go ahead.
One is we feel that what we're building is equally good in terms of, at least in about 6 months to 1 year, we can very clearly say that what the product we have is at least at par with the parts of it, InternMatch or Internship.com, 2 big US players in our market. All the products which LinkedIn is building, in terms of the pure student fit, they're not quite there. So we will at least be at par. So one temptation is that start looking at markets beyond India to expand as well. And people tell us that you probably need to at least 18 months, 24 months consolidating your presence in India, clearly establishing yourself as a household name before you move out. Question 2 is we obviously want to raise money to be able to build the product completely and to be able to scale it up. So any advices on these 2 questions? Well,
the US market, as you know, is much more competitive. There are tons of funded startups in the space. So you've put some of the screen already in early slides. So people are a lot more money trying to acquire customers, and this is going to be a competitive marketplace, and customer acquisition costs are going to be much higher. You're acquiring customers at a lower cost in India, and I think the kind of things that you have been able to do with campus ambassadors and stuff like that in India, you've got both sides in any kind of an exchange. Both sides of the equation have to come to some critical mass for that exchange to work. So if I were you, I'd right now, since you've got a sizable number of employers on your platform and a sizable number of students, I'd that model and really monetize it as much as possible first.
Okay. And from perspective, we've been meeting funds in India, and their primary concern being that they see this problem with the team, but what at least the funds have been very honest about is they don't see the entire college corporate market to be big enough to be $1 billion market in 3 to 5 years, and therefore it's not valuable enough for them to that market. So they feel the size of the market size.
Market size, what is your estimated market size? You did put it up somewhere. Again, you're going to have to...
Yeah, so for according to us, it's about $5 billion rupees.
What does that translate into? It's about $100 million? $100 million, right?
$35 billion, which should translate about to about $750 million.
So $70 million is not a small market. I think people don't believe it's $70 million. Your issue is that you're convinced that it is a $70 million market. So if I work with you, I would probably look into your table and product roadmap and more, in a much more credible way, start quantifying that and qualifying that, so such that you can defend that claim.
Okay. Any particular methods you think we can go ahead and start, qualifying and do some?
This is stuff we have, tons of curriculum material on in our TAM is one of the biggest areas where entrepreneurs falter. So we have developed tons of TAM-related curriculum, and we do a lot of TAM work in the 1M program. So if I will talk about how to use the program in a bit. Let me finish working with the other entrepreneurs who have submitted their slides, and we'll go.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Who's presenting? Ishan or Apurv? Let me see.
Hi.
Yeah.
Morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So my name is Apurv Goy. Out of IIT Delhi. I finished a couple of years back. About a couple of months back, a friend of mine, so both of us in the field of education, and essentially we will find out what are the main problems that plague K-12 students. So just a couple of months, thank you. So a couple of months, we have spoken to about 150 odd students from 7 to 11 in schools, and the purpose of this was to figure out what problems are still unsolved. So have spoken to all these students. We were able to figure out the three problems which found plagued most of the students, and definitely these problems are not being adequately solved by companies right now. So which most students face are that they have difficulties finding correct answers to their doubts. So students right now resolve to either searching answers.com or answer.com or yahooanswers.com. And 90% of the students we spoke to 1 to 2 hours a week finding doubts on these three sites. And to them that since those sites are not particularly tailored for education, and since they're into proper quality control there, so they tend to get incorrect answers and too many as well. So that is one issue that most of them face, and the second issue that many face is that they have difficult finding relevant educational videos online. I primarily refer to YouTube because there's too many videos on YouTube on every single topic, and it's difficult for a student to figure out whether a particular video pertains to their curriculum or not, because most of the chapters in science and mathematics, they're from grade to 12. So say for example, the chapter light. Now light is taught in grade 7 as well as grade 12. But when a student goes for a topic, and so the video generally does not distinguish whether the video pertains to a grade 8 syllabus or a grade 12 syllabus. So this is one issue which is very pertinent. And then the third thing which we were able to figure is that there is no proper resource to help students in English now. Next slide, please. Yeah. So basically, we want to build a product to solve the problem first, and then address the English problem later on. So we address the first one by building a platform like that allows students and teachers from across the nation to answer each other's doubts, and we plan to build in the structure in the One Academy build. So basically, we structure the website grades, subjects, and topics that so that if a student wants to ask a doubt in a chapter in physics and say he's in grade 8, then once he logs on to the site, he go to the physics page and then choose the chapter light, and then he'll be able to see the questions that are asked by other students before, and he'll be able to ask his question in case they're not able to resolve it out. So, yeah.
Enough. Or, grade specific video wasn't Khan Academy enough?
Okay. First, the problem is that Khan Academy is not divided grades. So, whether a particular video pertains to grade 8 or 9, because chapters are common from 8 to 11 in science mostly.
So what you're saying is you're going to organize by Indian grades. You're going to take the Khan Academy, and you're going to basically organize them so that the students can go to the right video right point.
No, in fact, not Khan Academy videos because we have watched about the problem videos till now pertain to grade 8 to 10. On that there's lots of videos other than Khan Academy which are better than Khan Academy, and just to make that just us, we have shown the videos which we found pertain to a particular topic, and we showed these best videos to students in schools. Compare these videos with the Khan Academy videos, and most of the students prefer other videos. So even though Khan Academy has now become famous, it seems there is lots of other folks in the world who have made incredibly awesome stuff, but because beyond that,
let's paraphrase what I said. You want to create a grade-specific organization that's video from Khan Academy and other YouTube sources, and put them together in a way that is easy to navigate. That's what you're trying to offer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And like YouTube, we plan to build the question answer platform below the video as well. So unlike YouTube, in which people indulge in generally in the ridiculous comments, we plan to have a question answer like platform so that people can ask their academic doubts and then have them resolved by teachers and others.
So you organize it in a way that it anchors on grade-specific course material, and then there you have a Q&A platform that comes with each of those specific topics and then discussion areas, essentially. That's what you're proposing.
Absolutely. The Q&A platform, there will be a standalone Q&A platform, and there will be a Q&A platform below every single video as well. So student, now there's a website called Meditation in India, which has 6 million customers, but their conversion rate is close to 1%. And it seems that our students has taught us that students are just not keen to pay for academic stuff online, even though they will shell out tens of thousands of rupees on offline tuition. But I believe that this is primarily because the content offered by websites today is not up to the mark, and most students we've spoken to have said that meditation's content, which is the lead in this market, is not particularly good. That the website is very shabby. Their interface is pretty shabby, and most of the students have said that their product is just not worth paying for. So there's a clear problem. We can provide a cheaper solution to their issues. So basically, so we have figured out a couple of business models. The first one is that we can pay per question model, in which rupees 50 to 100 per question, and then we can have people on board like Chacha does to answer questions very quickly. And if student doesn't want to pay that money, then they can wait for a couple of days, and then they'll get an answer from an expert or students or teachers on the site. But that's one which we can now. The model we are thinking about that perhaps we can add lectures of good teachers later on. So something like educated, yeah, something like the page of Khan Academy. Now this is now we I don't know whether students would be willing to make lectures online because like you said, there's this and since we'll also be curating lots of videos, but that if a good teacher prepared videos online, students might be willing to. We are sure will not be very high. I'm sure about that. And so a customer acquisition strategy. So we intend to use Facebook to our extent. So one simple way to advertise. Besides that, we plan to build in gamification elements which encourage students to share videos, their test scores online. So in multiple choice question tests as well. That will encourage students to share their scores online and then compare their scores with their students and their friends as well. And most of the students we spoke to really enthusiastic sharing site online. If that website which is free and if the interface is nice, unlike their institutions, then it seems that students are eager to share stuff online. In fact, 30% of them, in fact, shared our website landing pages link on Facebook. I spoke to them, in fact. So students are willing to share stuff if it's free and if it's cool. And yeah. So besides Facebook, we yeah.
You know,
Model.
before you go to your questions, there's one thing that comes to my mind. See, if you've said several times that you're going to build this huge Q&A platform and blah blah blah. Now you're thinking about paid advertising on Facebook. Where's the money coming from?
That so please go to yeah. Basically, we like I said earlier, considering two main business models: either the pay per question business model, coupled with the paid business model.
No. I'm asking you a very specific question. How to get this company off the ground? You have to product. You have to acquire customers. And from what I see you're making assumptions that you will have money to pay to acquire customers. Where's that money coming from?
Right. So initially, for the next 4 months, we first intend. So right now we have a working model of the working prototype of the website. We'll be launching the website in about 4 weeks.
Okay.
We have moment established contact with a couple of schools. And, so those schools allowing us to go and give a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
There, so from we intend to bring 2,000 students from there, and then for couple of months, we just want to test how the whole works out, and then if we feel engagement is up to high standard, then hopefully round of funding to just get us for the first year. Once we have about a lakh students, that's about 100,000 students, then we plan to start pay per model and the paid model. So once we
don't know yet whether those models are going to work or not. So you're going to need to validate. We don't know whether people are going to pay and deliver this immediate Q&A process. How that's going to pay. How people are going to pay for not. All this needs to be validated. So the point is, do not make a lot of assumptions that you will have a lot of budget for a while. You're going to need to work with the string and get this thing validated.
And we they'd be willing to pay to get the answers, and 70% of them said that they would be willing to pay rupees 50 if answered in a couple of hours.
Well,
the one 50 we spoke to said that they would be willing to 50 rupees per question.
You know whether they actually do or not, right? It's one thing to say in a market research, it's another thing to actually see whether they'll do it. It's good they're saying they will do it. Now you have to prove it to both yourself as well as to, whoever you engage with the business later on in whatever stake capacity.
Sure.
It's the Indian consumer market is very conservative about pulling out their wallets. In general, consumer markets don't pull out their wallets very easily. Indians are particularly not interested in pulling out their wallets. So this is where you have to, what happens when the rubber meets the road is something that we're going to have to see. Your hypothesis, right now you're doing the right thing. You have a hypothesis, you're going in validating to the extent you can by talking to people. You're trying to get a product launched in short order and actually starting real experiments with real. All of those are the right steps. So right now you don't need to worry about other things. Just do those right steps, and next 3-4 months you're just going to have to see what get things going, get on run real experiments with them. My guess is you're going to have to go to schools and recruit students at school, presenting there and stuff like that.
Hello?
For the money to cuff by paid customer acquisition at the moment, and that's not recommended. At this stage, you should not be to acquire customers. You need to acquire customers.
All right. Just one question. That something like this might be useful in the States or other developed nations?
How effective it is, what you build and what you put forth, it's effective and how useful it is.
Right. Okay.
And things can validate it as you develop it and as you get it to a point where it is useful for the core community that you're going after. You can validate it with US teachers and get feedback and so forth. I mean, this is all validation is doable. The answer to your question is not with me. The answer to your question is in a process of validation that you're going to need to follow.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Clear checks. Karen Malik?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Karen Malik, and I'm president and CEO of Clear Checks. It's a virtual checking and digital cash mobile and desktop application. So what I found is that although the space seems to be crowded, if you look closer at the companies involved in mobile money, they're connected with credit cards. The whole reason that credit cards exist is because in the 70s, checks used to bounce. And so companies came into business owners and said, we can take care of this problem for you. We'll just charge 3%. You won't have to deal with bounced checks, and you'll be covered. It's a lot easier with technology to money safely and cheaply. So the cost of the credit card really isn't warranted. That's enormous, and we've looked at checks please. Okay, we have a mobile app already in iTunes, and mobile application works on any mobile device. Next slide, please. So, market, and it was enormous because we're looking at moving money. So we have credit cards, we have checks, we have cash. So the enormous opportunity. What we started a vertical where we go in and own a space and look at profits. There's a market that's great to go after. You know, schools are collecting money and volunteers have to collect these checks and drive them to banks, or they have fundraisers where they're in a trusted environment. They would take checks. It's just more convenient to take a credit card. But when they look at the bottom line, out of money that they're going over to these credit card companies doesn't make sense, and they don't have a good alternative. So, you know, the PTA treasurer collecting 300 paper checks. Can you imagine, you know, that job? Churches, you know, people sitting in and wanting to make a contribution but not having cash in their wallet. I used clear checks to pay for my Boy Scout popcorn order for my son. You know, $500. If you're you know, I've led troops, Girl Scout troops, and paying everybody's money is a huge hassle. You know, from cookie sales. Also, an issue nowadays, most people don't carry their checkbook, but they have their smartphone. The time for this is really great now because people have gone to online banking, and the smartphone market is exploding. In certain pockets, we're just used to having people with smartphones, but it's really on, and now in middle school, you see kids with smartphones. Yep. Please. Charge 25 cents per transaction, which is a cost, it's scale with volume. We're using the same network that the Federal Reserve uses to move around. The cost-effective way to do it. Paper costs about $1.30 to send as well as to receive. If you send the check out, you have to buy the paper check, the envelope, the stamp. When you receive, you have to deal with all the paper. Is more environmentally friendly. We blow credit cards out of the water. I mean, it's just crazy what's going on with credit cards. We're more convenient than cash. Today, a friend of mine took my son to this place, and I didn't have any cash to give her, and I said, I'll transfer you the money. So I just transferred her the money with my smartphone, and she had an account set up from school movie night when she was collecting money using clear checks. So that was great. It was amazing.
What do you need in terms? Is the check the app is tied to both bank accounts, the sender and receiver's bank account? Is that what's going on?
Exactly. So you go in and you set up your account. You just put in your bank account, and then the party puts in their bank account information, and then you can transfer money from one to the other.
International boundaries, or is it just
doing within the United States, but we do this nationally very easily. I the back-end software to communicate with the banks, and I have this spec for going international, and we've been looking into that as well.
So you're also competing wire transfers, right? Wire transfers,
we blow it out of the water. I mean, when you look at Western Union and how much it costs, it's insane. And it's you bring that up, and a lot of people think we're competing with PayPal. It is so huge. When you look at the money involved, you have credit cards, you have cash, you have checks. You have basically all the money in the world. Errors are astronomical, and the opportunity is amazing. So
competing with PayPal.
Well, okay.
PayPal charges percent, right?
Well, PayPal, okay, if you're a school and you're collecting money, you have to pay a credit card rate, the same as for a check. So PayPal is free person to person. They are in terms of nonprofit. Yeah, but
here in this case, it looks like you need everybody to have an account.
Yes.
But the reason PayPal and the credit cards are able to is they're very highly penetrated. So they are, use this, and if I have to use this with somebody, a number of people, they will need this account set up. That's the issue.
Well, I realize that, but I was looking at one profit, collect $40,000 in dues yearly from one chapter, and they have 200 chapters. They need to collect them online. If they collect the money online with PayPal, it will cost more than $1,000 per chapter. So, organization, if they offer our solution as an alternative, it's beneficial to them, and it's a trusted environment.
To make it work, they will have to get the entire subscriber base to your app. We don't know whether that will happen really or not. That is really the challenge of this business.
Well, what you mean, but requirement to get the entire member to do it. It's that you can offer people. The other really interesting thing is some of these organizations really have a hard time implementing a PayPal button. This might sound ridiculous to you, but they don't have IT people. And when you look at the implementation of putting an HTML element on your page, it's a little bit more advanced than some of these organizations have the capability to pull off. And we have a solution that is extremely low tech, where we can give them in text, pay, this account at ClearCheck's account, and to configure their website page.
What are bounce checks? In this scenario that you're presenting, what happens with bounce checks? Well,
bounce checks are, we have two scenarios, two things that we do. One is which is feed businesses using in a less trusted environment. And the money is pre-cleared within a wallet, so when a user pays the business, there's no issue of a bounce check. In this environment, we expect that organizations in their profile will allow users to pay by check, by electronic check. So in that case, there's the possibility of a bounce check, the same as that organization would have with a paper bounce check. But that's their decision to take on that as they do with a paper check or with an check.
All right. And how long does it take for the transaction to complete?
If them in their wallet, it's been pre-cleared and the transaction is instant. Money is an electronic check being pulled from their bank account. It takes usually, it will, for us, clear in the first day, but the bank can have a few days to issue some requirements. So we say 3 days, with industry standard when you look at other people involved in this type of thing.
The slide, it's too small.
Oh,
never put
it's just going
on a slide. It's a very bad way of presenting.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm an engineer, then a presenter.
If you do a startup CEO job, you have to present.
I know. Okay. Well, we'll definitely take that into consideration and then get rid of or change the slide. And it's just going over the competitive landscape and saying that although people tend to think that mobile money is a crowded market, it's mostly focused on credit cards. Next slide. Another issue for you. Thinking about which working, so charities, PTAs, schools, class parents.
Your market entry strategy I like, because that's an area where especially the cities that you are probably going to see your early adopters, people smartphone savvy and app savvy and all that, and they will be willing to do it, I think.
Okay. Funded, we've been extremely productive. We have a work application on the desktop. We're supporting all languages. We have an app in iTunes. Some people have looked at what we have and told us 4 million evaluation, which is amazing. Of course, 100 customers. We're in innovation mode. We're going implementation mode January 1st. I'm 250,000. I'm planning a really high growth. We've looked at a few other people in the space, and we just have had a salesperson start with us who's doing amazingly. When I talk to an investor, they're not going to hand a check over to me. I need to really start angels and pave the way. And once I get 250,000, I'm going to have to work really hard to make a Series A happen within 6 months. I can see this in the numbers, and I can see this in talking to people and the interest that I'm seeing. So, next slide. I'll make a better slide. Sorry. We have an amazing team. The 3 founders each have had startups in the past with successful exits. We background in Oracle and financial applications. This chief technology officer has spent 20 years in banking and managed 70 developers at Chase, and is also very hands-on. He knows the ins and outs of banking systems. One of our other founders, is an amazing guy. He has he's a CFO and has pulled in of a CPA in England. We have a business analyst who has a master's in industrial engineering from Stanford and used to head up e-commerce at HP. We have a professional tester with a background from Kia. We have a business development person who ran her business for a while and has an MBA from Stanford. We have a person who is amazing, who just started. So an amazing team. We have a product that works. We have our initial set of customers. We have a firm that is, we're trying to make sense for fees, but what we really see the power in is the money that people keep in the wallet. So as we grow our users, we build power in having cash on hand.
Definitely at a stage where it's fundable, it's really, you have to find people who are willing to take on a payment, have preferences. They like to do certain kinds of businesses which fit the worldview and their domain expertise and stuff like that. Payments is a very specific domain, and there have been lots of businesses in the payment domain, and there are people who have specific expertise, and you're going to need to find those. We don't need introductions except for our premium members to investors. So 1M works with entrepreneurs in a little bit as soon as we finish. I think we're kind of at the end of the slide presentations, right, Maureen? Do we do anybody else? Oh, okay. Ouch. Okay, so Karen, hold on. I will talk about how we work with entrepreneurs in a moment. Let me finish the last presentation. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Is it clear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So first of all, before starting, I'm really grateful for you, Sramana, for doing such a great initiative, and you helped me to attend this event. So thank you. Okay. So to introduce you, I'm Satyam from Bangalore, India, and I graduated from my. So I thought about my idea this InnoPrep in my college days. So I took a risky step. I joined my first job to pursue entrepreneurship. So since 1 month I have brought this to the real world, validating with my people or validating with all the organizations, going and talking with them. So let's start. So I am really at very early stage. So it's I'll only tell about the concept. So
yeah, good. Listening.
So it's InnoPrep means everyone makes during college days or during any to achieve any goal. Everyone makes a routine for to achieve that goal or make a plan or schedule. But you them fails after 1 day or 2 day, like exactly most of them fails because like what I think, like what I've observed and what I've like thought, analyzed that because we do like any kind of routine, we do match our skills like in daily habits or strength and weakness. Suppose like our patience is very low, but we do a routine for 4 hours of continuous study without giving a break. So usually we do not know in this way it happens we could not continue our this routine thing. So Neopress does like it gives a personalized plan or strength according to according to strength and weakness and daily habits. Like for example, if patience level is low, so Neopress gives you a plan with shorter period of work hours with more frequent break strength. The thing is that after completing your task according to your goal, all who are preparing for the same by sharing and comparing your progress in social media. So don't feel alone that I am only the one who is preparing, I am only the one who is feeling like kind of bored thing. That's the thing, in a kind of dashboard thing, like in social comparison. And third one is the most interesting one. I get it like most interesting why I'm saying because I got some like feedback from the people like students who are doing this. Because I give we'll give a reward for completing everyday tasks, which will also based on your interest. Like anyone wants to movie tickets or e-commerce coupons or gift or girlfriends or any books you want to read. So anything we give rewards for everyday completing an everyday task. That's the thing. So these three combinations makes it world's first.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How to make money?
Most interesting part, why I get money. The money starts from B2B. Like I have gone to some organization, tuition, coaching who are preparing for GMAT or preparing for CAT or any competitive exam. So what them I'll partner with you. It will be a competitive strategy for you as an institution. So you are giving something prep tool, individual prep tool, and also rewards to the students so that can achieve their goal very quickly. First thing. Second thing is that I have a slide over next. I have a revenue slide over there. Next. Yeah. Partnering with different institutes and websites who provides prep tools. This will be extra prep tools. One. Second thing is there will be ads advertisement of consultancy of books and consultancy books and tuition anyone want to mentor thing. That's the thing. Second one is that when you after completion of task, each one is available to choose their own rewards. Own reward means he can collect the rewards from the sample thing. So in that time we see lot of things suppose any e-commerce coupon, suppose any book cash tuition.
I want you to do this. This is kind of 30,000-foot level right now. I want you to keep the central question in mind to start with. Is this going to make whatever you decide to build will have from the perspective of is this going to make money and it's going to make money. So you need to come up with a concept, a plan, a business with that central question in mind.
Okay. But right now, what I told is not applicable for for
all over the place. What you're presenting right now is completely all over the place. You need to build something that is monetizable. Right now, you have all sorts of this, you're going to do that, you're going to look at the slides, right? Billions of plans are made. So billions of plans are made is a very nebulous statement. Are you talking about specifically helping in the test preparation? That has to do with millions of plans. That's a very, very defined, very, very specific process workflow that you're going to build around the test preparation process.
Yeah.
So that level of zeroing in and refining that I want to see of your business plan.
What I thought of that initially, I thought of plan goals according to everyday life, anything thing. But I'm initially concentrating on the initial exam thing. It's able to anything like health issues like losing fat or some kind of that.
Then you go really understand the process of test preparation and see what's missing from that process. The test preparation market is incredibly crowded. So if you insert yourself in the middle of the test preparation market, you need to have a very compelling story to be able to, some gap there. And I haven't seen what that gap is. I haven't seen a calculation of what that gap is.
Okay. Because while getting this, everyone, every organization tells me that they tell that if you you develop it and bring it to us, we also it's free for the people. Initially it will be free for the people, because I'll make revenue from all these things, B2B things, tuition and advertisement and pulling with organization. So they tell me that if you
all this kind of wishy-washy stuff, we're going to make money from these B2B things. It sounds incredibly wishy-washy, and when you try to implement it, it's going to be impossible to implement. How businesses are built. What I see in the way you're going about it is something very kind of, you're into the details, you're kind of unwaving through very, very important decisions, and you're not going to build a successful business that way.
So, what can I do right now for this?
You should go on mute, and I'm going to explain how you can use the 1M1M program. And if you decide that that's something that you need, you should go and use it. Because I can't teach you that in 5 minutes right now. So let's work through how 1M1M works with entrepreneurs, and then you can ask questions that I'll put up the Q&A slide after that. I'm a bit over today just because we are going to be off for 3 weeks, and this is the last roundtable for the year, so I understand that people still have questions. So the way resources-wise is at 1m1m.com. We are a completely online business, completely local business, so everything will be accessible through the website. The blog is completely free. It's chock full of information. If you're not following the blog already, please start doing so. We want serious, successful entrepreneurs to teach there, basically. The scales that we provide are really geared towards helping you learn. And then we started publishing some of these case studies and putting them together as books, focused on specific topics and so forth. So this is the series of Entrepreneur Journeys books that we have produced so far. That's 7 of them, and 2 of them are available on Kindle and also available in paper book format on Amazon. This looks like you'll find lots of FAQ videos on the web as well that we are constantly asked. We have these free roundtables every week. Please, especially if you are a beginner in this game, I recommend that you attend these roundtables, these free roundtables every week, and start learning through the process how business comes together. Because it's to do things at 3,000 feet level never works. And some of you have actually done a very nice job of going a bit further. Karen, you've done a nice job. Rishav, you've done a nice job of, maturing things and getting things to a point where a lot of are now validated. You have made good progress. You've put good, pieces together. And then go to the next level. And of course, that's to help you go to the next level will mean that we're going to need to work with us within the program. Those of you who are beginning and you want to have a resource to start learning from, the free roundtables, the blog, these are free resources. You can start learning from there. All for the free roundtables are done through the website, so if you need a slot to pitch, go ahead and use that. Now, of what we do in the premium program. We provide you extensive method guidance on every aspect of being an entrepreneur, what it means to be, what is required to put one step before the other in being an entrepreneur. Primarily with respect to go-to-market strategy, bringing your product to market, that is one of the areas for the program, and the other one is, of course, the financing, whatever, however it is that you can bring your fruition within limited resources, and how can you be resourceful in navigating that gap where you have revenues or you do not have sufficient revenues and you need more resources to get there. And that could happen with external financing or many other bootstrapping techniques that we use to bridge that early stage capital gap. So that we offer takes each of those topics and explains those in detail. We have video lectures and case studies, and I'll go over what those topics are. Business development, we help you with strategy consulting, similar sessions but much more in depth in our private program. We use the same format, the same WebEx mentoring format, but it's a members only session. And then with financing, and we help you with relations. Coverage is something that is a big problem for early stage entrepreneurs to get unless you have big funding announcements, and most entrepreneurs do not have funding announcements at the very early stages. So that's the point at which get media to get you on the radar of both investors, customers, potential users. All of this is really critical, and we pay attention to that. We have a lot of clout in the media. We help you access that clout. Club, this link is a website. You will be able to go through it and meet some of our $1 Million Club members. The ROI equation of 1M is explained in detail on the site as well. We offer $375,000 plus 5 to 10% equity of value for a $1,000 annual membership fee. This is an extreme value program. Mostly we are being asked by people why we are not raising the fees. I'm adamant that we do not want to raise the fees. We want to keep it at what it is and be able to offer it to millions of entrepreneurs all over the world. That is the vision of 1M, and we are never going to raise the fees. We put lots of orientation materials on how to use 1M effectively. You will come into the program. The assessment, this is something you should take your business plan through. This is important. Especially if you go out to raise money, you're definitely going to face questions. And even, those of you who are working with very early concept stage ideas, these are the kinds of questions that help you go from a very nebulous, unwavering kind of concept stage idea to start honing in on the real details of what it takes to build a business. And if you then we offer you the column modules for every single topic as well. So, for instance, the 10 module will give you a process of how to build a M model that you can then defend with investors. Material on the website, how to evaluate the premium program, what you can expect, and if it suits you or not. Please, we don't do a lot of selling. You're going to have to convince yourself. If you have questions, we will connect you with Irina Patterson, who's on the 1M team, Irina at 1mby1m.com. I'm not sure if she's in the room. Irina, if you could put your contact information in the public chat, and if she isn't, Maureen, would you put Irina's contact information, please? But she'll be happy to get on the phone or Skype with you and answer your questions. But we do offer a tremendous amount of self-service mode Q&A. So the video Q&A will be, FAQs would be helpful in helping you understand as well. Now here we teach the curriculum. We have hundreds, of case studies of successful entrepreneurs, and they have taken the time to come and, teach on our platform. So we have captured all of that, synthesized them in video lectures, and we offer you the case studies as well. So you not only get input on a particular topic and the strategies we are recommending, also get to see that strategy in action in a case study as implemented by a successful entrepreneur. So it's very powerful and very inspiring. Curriculum, we teach 7 topics: bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. On the side, we teach, again, 7-8 topics: Web 3.0 and e-commerce, web businesses fall under that, cloud computing and business solutions, all B2B businesses fall under that, outsourcing and consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare, IT, online education, gaming. So the format is the same: video lectures and case studies. Our strategy is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startup. So you've got to keep in mind that where you are going to be required to do a lot of heavy lifting in a bootstrap mode before you can expect to get money. And if you've already done that heavy lifting and you're coming into the program, already to money, that's great. That would be fine. People coming into the program in various different stages. Many people come with concepts, ideas. People have no idea at all, just that they want to be an entrepreneur. They want to learn how the process of becoming an entrepreneur and then come up with the idea within the program. Those are fine. We are very flexible. We are screening in letting you in. Anybody can join. Of course, equal opportunity doesn't mean equal outcome. This premium members is accessible from the press page. That gives you some idea of how much coverage we generate for our premium members. We do have clout in the media, and part of being in the program is that you have access to that clout. We have our full social media channels. We have a very large social media presence across Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, our own email newsletter, our blog. We touch at least 100,000 people through the various different channels, and we do have access to that. This how can you use the 1M1M Twitter channel is a freely accessible video on the website. You can take a look at it, and this explains how it flows through Facebook and LinkedIn and so forth. The numbers are outdated, but the method is not. The numbers are higher now. We give you lots of coverage on our blog. Our blog has a very interesting readership. A lot of investors are monitoring it, a lot of customers, channel partners, top executives who are trying to monitor what's happening in the startup ecosystem. We got the Forbes top 100 blogs for entrepreneurship this year. So it's a blog and get tons of ideas and import calls, not just, there's a lot of derivative stories that come out of this blog into other channels, both through our work as well as through other journalists' work who encounter stories on our blog. It's a major influencer blog. Working on entrepreneurship development, or if you're mentoring entrepreneurs and you're looking for a proven program to use in your work, please feel free to become an affiliate of the 1M1M program. January 16, 20, 30th, so all January weeks we have roundtables, starting with the celebration of the 200th roundtable. And if you're still looking for an idea, and if you're in a developing market, not just India, even though the book is Vision India 2020, all developing markets can use these ideas. There are $45 billion business ideas in this book. To use any of them. I'm working on 1M1M, and I believe that's going to take the rest of my career to build. But there are other ideas that you're welcome to take and work on. We do have Data in a Box program, which also offer as a supplemental program to all kinds of organizations. We're working with a lot of corporate incubation projects with major companies. We are open to working with investors, governments, schools, entrepreneurship development organizations, incubators, co-working spaces, accelerators, whoever wants to, actionality to existing incubation programs or launch a new incubator. We are happy to work with you, especially incubators and accelerators in other parts of outside Silicon Valley who are looking for a deep, work into Silicon Valley, deep access into Silicon Valley. We're very to work with you and provide with that, because we are headquartered right off Sand Hill Road and deep in the heart of Silicon Valley, network heavily into the Silicon Valley. So that's pretty much it. There's a bunch of new books that came out this fall that I'm going to run through. Seed India is the latest book. We released Feminine Feminism and fall, and released the other 99% Entrepreneurs' Fortune in the Middle of the Pyramid. So this is a productive fall for 1 million by 1 million. We've released 3 books, and pretty much right now releasing a book a month, effectively. So that is another way we are disseminating knowledge to people who access knowledge through different channels. So we can go to Q&A, even though we are quite over the time that we normally have. If anybody has any questions, if you want to ask anything, if you want to discuss anything, we'll stay on for a few more minutes, just because we're not going to be around for 3 weeks until the 200th roundtable. So go ahead.
Do you have a resource to look up angels and their past investments? Do you need a resource?
Database of angels, no. You should get the angel list for that. Anybody? Yes? Private messages, okay? Familiar with angel list, right?
And yes, we're looking into that. Frankly, we've been really involved in going after customers, bootstrapping and building product. They're all great things, but now, we have to go into presentation mode and fundraising mode, which is a whole new arena.
And a very complex process. Fundraising is a very, very complex process.
My husband goes through the biotech, so.
Sorry?
My husband has gone through this in biotech. He was the first employee at a company that's now public, and fundraising takes on a whole new. It's crazy the amount of money that they raise. When I look at how much money I need and how much money it takes to do a drug, it's crazy.
You're going to talk to 50, 60 girls before you can find, maybe 5 or 10 that are interested. Very, very complex process.
It's actually really good to hear you say that. At least gives you a target for how far you need to go.
But it's good that you have made progress and focused on customers, because that's something that we always tell entrepreneurs, is that until you have customers and until you have a certain level of validation and traction, actually traction is the operating word, it's very difficult to raise money.
It's true to hear that, yet you see companies that get funded that have so much less than what we have, or are funded and still they don't manage to build their product.
There are certain networks that operate in favor of people. There are certain mafias, like there's a PayPal mafia in the Valley. There's a Google mafia. There's if you have personal credibility with an angel investor, you'll get funded through those networks. There are those possibilities. Okay. There's a take from the public chat. Muhammad says, should one consider venturing into heavily regulated market without any domain experience, for example, financial services? I do not. I seriously advise not, actually. If you want to really be successful, domain knowledge is crucial. The domain knowledge is the learning curve to acquire domain knowledge is very high. With no knowledge, you are at a distinct disadvantage. day today, and wish you very happy holidays, everybody. I know all of you have worked very hard this year and hope you progress in your ventures. You know, in entrepreneurship, we all hear a lot of no's, right? Part of the game of selling, whether you're selling your product or you're selling equity to investors, or you know, whatever it is that you're working on, there are a lot of no's in the process, and it can be discouraging, it can be very draining, and you kind of need to take advantage of your support network, your friends, your family, your community, to keep yourself, you know, safe and fed, emotionally fed. So holidays are a very good time to do that, and I hope all of you are going to take advantage of the holiday time to connect with your network in meaningful ways, so that you can energize from that and be ready for another year of journey. Entrepreneurship is a very difficult journey. It's exhausting. We'll have to keep ourselves motivated and energized through that process. So I wish very happy holidays. The 1M team wish all of you happy holidays, happy New Year. We will look forward to working with you further in 2014. And please, by all means, come to our 200th Roundtable and celebrate with us. Thank you. Bye-bye.